All right, we are live. It is another edition of the Hollywood Purgatory. This is where the entertainment industry comes to get judged. I am Jeffrey Harris on 411 Mania. Up on the other side of the line is Jay Snook of the Good Men Project. Say hi, Jay.
Hello, everybody.
His name is Jay. Sorry there, a little MMA humor for everyone. So happy holidays, everyone. Thanksgiving, November is over. We are now in a new month, December. We have the holidays are right around the corner. Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, all that good stuff. Some of us are already getting some holiday gifts, but we'll get more
And
into that
it's
later. Yeah.
okay to listen to Christmas music now because it's December.
Yes.
But now Christmas music is
Yes.
okay.
I agree. You should not listen to Christmas music in November. Wait until December, people, right? Is that your basic view on things,
Yeah,
Jay? Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree. I agree. So great. So I hope you all are having a safe and happy holiday season. But let's get into it, shall we? We got our first officially released trailer for Avengers Infinity War, Jay. This is the big one. I was there excuse me. I was at D23. Well, so were you. But I got to see this trailer at D23. Did you get to see that? It wasn't this trailer, but it was like the Avengers Infinity War like sizzle reel. Did you see that at D23?
No, I wasn't able to get in
Okay.
that room.
Okay. I was able to get in there for that, and they showed it again at San Diego Comic Con that same month. This is a whole new trailer, so we got a lot of new footage with this.
Mm.
But this is really the first, I guess, actual trailer that was mass released around the entire globe. And this trailer was so big, I think in 24 hours, it was the most viewed trailer, I think, in history, right? That's what I was reading.
Yeah. And it's not the first time Marvel's done that. It won't be the last. But yeah, they keep breaking records with that. Because I think
Yeah,
Ragnarok was the same way when that got.
yeah. Um, but man, Marvel, I guess my main reaction from this, it looks like Marvel has done it again, or am I out of my depth here, Jay? What do you think?
No, you're right. And yeah, I think that they really did a good job here. It's going to be two movies though, so the trailer I think shows parts from both. I'm guessing.
There are two movies, but I think this is just Infinity War. We don't know the title of Avengers 4 yet. Keep in mind, those
Mhm.
plans change.
Not doing two movies anymore. I thought they were for Infinity.
Yeah, they're filming two simultaneously. Basically, they
Uh,
film them both back to back, but it's
mhm.
not. They said it's no longer Infinity War Part 1 and 2. Basically,
Okay. It just seemed to me like in this trailer, there was stuff from the first part and the second part. That's what it seemed like to me.
I mean, I don't think they're doing it that way. I think there was even a big story about that.
Because there was time jumps where like there's a point where you see Vision looks like a human. There's a point
Right.
where you see his Infinity Stone ripped out of his
Yeah,
forehead.
but we could see. Well, just to get into that, there was footage in there
Mhm.
of it looked like Paul Bettany as a more human version of the Vision, having a kind of like a romantic moment with Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, right? Wanda
Yeah,
Maximoff.
correct.
I think that's probably before he gets his Infinity Stone ripped out.
Yeah, I think
Here's
so.
here's why. We see Thanos with the gauntlet later in the trailer,
Hmm.
right? And he has two stones in the trailer. So,
Correct.
like, let me see here. Uh, I'm just trying to find. I'm trying to look for the reference picture for Thanos in this trailer.
Right.
Okay.
Because he has the Tesseract in it, and I
One of
think
them is the Tesseract, and the other one is the Power Stone. Okay. So the Tesseract is the blue stone
uh-huh.
from Avengers.
Hmm.
The Power Stone is the orb from Guardians of the Galaxy, which was purple. That was power. So Tesseract is space. Orb purple is power. So blue is space, purple is power. That's what I think we saw him in the gauntlet.
What was the
With
yellow one though? Because there was a
the
yellow one.
yellow is the yellow, or what color is his vision? Would you say
Yellow. Yellow.
his is the mind gem
Okay.
from Age of Ultron,
Okay.
and so that one was not in the gauntlet when we saw Thanos in the trailer. So at some point, Vision is probably going to get it ripped out of his head, and you would imagine that would kill him, you know?
We
Don't
saw
you
it in the
think?
trailer, though, where with Loki's weapon, it is getting ripped out of his head.
Right. But it wasn't Thanos doing it. It was one of the Black Order members with his spear.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Probably.
So I don't think those are. I don't. I think all of this was just from part one.
Maybe.
But here, let me just clarify because this was a story last year. They basically, the directors Anthony and Joe Russo said, instead of Infinity War Part 1 and 2, they're going to do Avengers Infinity War, and the fourth Avengers movie does not have a title yet. Here's what they told Cinema Blend. We wanted the movie to be very different and distinctive. There's certainly cross-pollination between characters and some story arcs, but you know the first movie is clearly Avengers Infinity War, and in time we will reveal what the second film is. So obviously I think there will be continuation threads into the fourth film, but I don't want to make too many speculative predictions on what's going to happen in this film, but it's not going to be a complete part 1, part 2 type thing. I think they want it to be more of a sequel rather than parts 1 and 2.
Because we know that obviously Captain America's been through a lot because he's definitely seen better days. That's for sure. We see that in the trailer.
Yeah.
We actually get to see Spider-Man wearing the suit that Tony made for him.
Right.
That's really cool.
Right. And we get to see the spider sense. That's the other big thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So this was at the D23 and Comic-Con footage. We actually see a physical representation of the spider sense, which was not in Spider-Man Homecoming. We didn't really see, they never established the fact that he has spider sense. You know what I mean? So what did you think that, like, okay, so not only do we see he gets to use the Iron Man spider armor, he uses we get to see the spider sense this time around as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I liked too the scene where we see Loki give the Tesseract to Thanos. We get to see that.
Okay, that shot was also in the D23 footage. Go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The footage at D23 in San Diego was like 5 times longer than this, wasn't it? That was like 10 minutes.
It was like an extended. It was like an extended sizzle reel, basically. It was like 5 minutes, basically. So it was like twice as long as this one.
Okay, I thought it was 10s. If it was 5, that's not as much as I thought.
It might. I don't think it was 10 minutes long because here's. It started basically with a whole run through of the whole MCU, like each phase of the MC universe. Then at the end, they stuck in the Infinity War, and I would say that one was like.
Yeah, I could see it being like 5 minutes of here's what's happened in the past, and now here's.
That's kind of how it worked.
Yeah, that's what they did with the Gotham season 4 trailer. They did like 3 minutes of here's what's happened in the past, and here's a minute new.
Like half of it was recap, and then they did actually put in Infinity War and all of that.
And this trailer is great because we see pretty much everywhere. We get to see Black Panther in here. We get to see Scarlet Witch again. We get to see Vision, who again looks very different. Tony Stark is here, and it's kind of cool. I like the narration where it has a little bit of narration of like some of the different actors first, like Samuel L. Jackson, a few other the characters was really cool. And then Thanos jumps in with the narration. So it was kind of cool they did that, where they had the different narration for the first like minute of the trailer. That was really kind of
cool. Thanos is talking about bringing balance to the universe. So what do you think about what we've seen, what we're finally seeing of Thanos and his motivations? We've only seen Thanos as kind of like a peripheral character in these movies. We only see little bits of him. This is like, now we're finally going to see him as an actual character. So what do you think of what we've seen of him so far?
Well, we've seen that just by what I know of the character from the Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon, where you see him a lot more.
Yeah.
And what you see in this trailer, he pretty much means like he wants to destroy the world and the universe and rebuild it. Pretty much as he wants to do. And I think from what I've heard, Infinity Gauntlet can make that possible when he has all the stones. Right? Is that possible?
Well, I get the basic gist of having the Infinity Gauntlet. When it has all of the gems assembled, like you can control and warp reality to your will, basically. That's basically like,
Which would mean he could pretty much go ahead and just destroy everything and rebuild everything as he sees.
He could do it with the snap. If he has all the gems, he can He can do anything with the snap of his fingers, basically.
And you know,
Anything.
and it's kind of on the same topic. Another big thing that was revealed after these two
Yeah.
films is the end of the MCU. They revealed that.
Well, say that again.
It was revealed this week too, after this trailer came out, that these last two films would be the end of the MCU.
I don't think it will be the end so much as like a kind of like the end of a chapter, you know?
Maybe that's what it meant, but still, when I read that, I'm like, because what I've heard speculation from people is, and from the comics is, there may be little to no survivors after these two are done.
Well, look,
and in this trailer, we kind of see that in this trailer because you can tell like he beats on Spider-Man really easily. It's either we don't really know. It's either Tony Stark or Hulk in the Hulkbuster armor.
Right.
One of the two. We see that like there's this big battle going on, and we can clearly see that Thanos is like, hey, I'm out here now in the open, and you try and stop me. Pretty much saying like, I dare you to stop me, but you're not going to be able to. So
I'm sure. Well, here's the tricky thing. You could kill off some characters, but you also have a device that can control reality. So any characters who die is like basically the Infinity Gauntlet. It's the ultimate Deus Ex Machina. So anything it messes up, you can use to easily repair anything. But some of these actors are probably going to be going away after the fourth movie.
Probably.
So you would imagine.
Because we've seen in the comics and even in some of the shows, and we even saw one of the movies.
Right.
There was the main Avengers, there was kind of the second string.
Okay.
So say like the main Avengers all do get killed off, or the vast majority of them. Doesn't mean the Avengers themselves is over, just those Avengers aren't around anymore.
Well, look. This franchise is going to continue after the fourth film. We know that. Because Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out in 2020. The third Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, yes.
So they're not just gonna write. I mean, maybe a couple of the Guardians die, like Nebula, for example. Like you can kill off Nebula, don't you think? And you're not really gonna even if you like Nebula, you can kill her off, or you can kill off Gamora, right? Maybe, but you're not gonna kill off like Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon. You know what I mean?
Well, what I mean, though, what I'm saying is because in the comics lately, they've brought in a new version of Iron Man.
Right.
It's not her name, but it's
Ironheart. Ironheart Riri Williams. Yes. Right.
They actually, in the comics, fans got really mad. They said that Captain America was a Hydra agent the whole time, anyway.
Yeah, and they had Falcon became Captain America.
Yes, and they had
Look, in Civil War, in the original Civil War in 2006, 2007, Captain America was killed, and for a while, Bucky, Winter Soldier, took his place. They could do something like that.
And they also, what I thought in the comics too, they had where he just got old, eventually finding he couldn't be Captain America anymore. So that's why I think he took over too, right?
So here's what I think I get. Like some of these actors are going to retire their roles, and maybe some of these other characters will take their place, or what have you. And I think that's I think a lot of people would probably agree with that.
Yeah, it sounds like that probably is what's going to happen because it's been happening for years. Some of these actors are like, hey, we like these characters, but kind of getting
tired. They can't play them forever, I mean,
Chris Evans has said for a while he doesn't want to do Captain America anymore. Robert Downey Jr. has said at times he doesn't want to do Tony Stark anymore.
That's not what he's saying. I think,
it's just in the past they've said like they don't really want to do any more Iron Man movies. They've said that, so like it wouldn't be a shock.
He hasn't really said it like that. I think it's more the sense of like they're kind of reaching the end of their time as these characters. Because look, Robert Downey Jr. he's in his 50s now. Realistically, how much longer could he play Tony Stark?
Wait, are you sure he's not in his 60s?
No, not at all.
Really? He looks 60.
I
think he's in his 60s.
He's 52.
Really?
He turns 53 in April. So there you go.
Okay.
4 more. Okay. He's still younger. He's still younger than Tom Cruise, by the way. Tom Cruise is older than him.
So they are getting older, and they've had a good run with these characters, and Some of them just want to do other things too. Because even there's another version of Thor now too, right? Isn't like a female Thor in the comics? I
Yeah,
thought.
in the comics, it's Jane Foster is the female Thor,
Oh,
Natalie
that's very
Portman's
interesting.
character. But
That'd be an interesting
I
twist
don't
in the
think.
MCU.
Well, look, somewhere down the line, don't you think you're going to want to use those characters again and maybe recast? Why not? Why no?
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with doing that. It's always a risk because when they've recast
Yeah,
Batman, there's always been they've had their goods and their bads, and
yeah.
it's sometimes been the actor things that hasn't. And Spider-Man's the same way. Like Tobey Maguire was good Spider-Man for a while. Andrew Garfield was okay
He
Spider-Man,
was
and
not okay.
in the first movie I thought he was. In the second one he wasn't, but that wasn't fully his fault. And just like Spider-Man 3 wasn't that great, but that wasn't Tobey Maguire's fault. It was they villained it to death, but that's another
Okay, Tom
story.
Holland is a very good Spider-Man, but look, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has already been through this with Ed Norton and Mark Ruffalo, right?
And another guy before that,
And
that
Terrence Howard, and Don Cheadle as War Machine. So
but the thing is, when I look at it, these characters, these people play them so
yeah,
well,
I
and
agree.
really, really do. Recasting eventually just be like, I think it'd almost be too risky because it's like it'd just be better to just end their stories and go, hey, 20 years from now, recast them because they'll be like, how are you going to find someone as good as them? You probably can't. That's just the reality.
I mean, it's not impossible.
I wouldn't say it's impossible. I just wouldn't say it's a good idea.
I mean, who's your favorite James Bond?
Jeez.
Well,
I
look,
probably
my
just,
point is
I
that my point
probably,
is
if I
this.
had to go James Bond, I'd say Connery.
Here's my point. Here's my
I'd
point.
say Connery.
Can I make my point?
Go ahead.
Okay. Like James Bond, Sean Connery, I thought was like bee's knees as James Bond, right? He played James Bond for 5 movies. Then it was they had another actor in On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Was that the one movie one?
That was just what was his name? It was George Lazenby for one. He was Bond. So they recast Bond for one movie, and then they brought back Connery for one more, and then like 15 years later, he played Bond one more time in the 80s in an unofficial Bond movie.
Because Roger Moore did it for a while.
Roger Moore did it like in the 70s and early 80s, and then in the late 80s it was Timothy Dalton,
Right.
and then Pierce Brosnan was popular as Bond for a while. Then we got Daniel Craig with Casino Royale. In my opinion, the best actor to play James Bond of all time. Okay. I guess my point is this. These characters are indelible characters. And at some point, I'm not saying 5 years from now, but I'm saying maybe like 15 years from now, you're going to want to use these same characters again. And I think it's arrogant to assume that no actor could ever play them just as good. Because you like Batman the Animated Series, right?
Correct.
All right. Do you like you probably really like Kevin Conroy as Batman, right?
Absolutely.
And Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Yes.
But do you think other actors have done a good job playing those characters? Would you say? Maybe not as good, but they do valid takes. Would you say?
No, I can't say that.
Okay. Did you ever like Batman Brave and the Bold?
It was all right. It was different, but it was okay.
Okay. Well, like in Superman the Animated Series, remember the 90s Superman animated show?
A little bit, sure.
Okay. So it wasn't the same guy from that show to Justice League. It was George Newbern in the animated Justice League series. It wasn't the same voice as the animated.
Okay.
Who was an actor from Wings. I think Tim Daly, I want to say. I guess my point is this. These characters are iconic classic characters. And you can't, and there's going to be times where other actors might be called upon to play these characters. And I think, I just think you can't say, I think you're taking a very strict attitude that no one else can play them. I don't really agree with that. I think I'm open to the idea of other actors playing these characters. Okay.
Okay, and a caveat to it is it's different if they do a different version of the characters. Like when they did different Jokers in different cartoons,
Okay.
it wasn't Mark Hamill's Joker they were trying to do. It was a different Joker entirely. So if you do a different voice actor there, it's like go ahead and do that because yeah, Mark Hamill isn't that Joker anyway. That's
Here's
true
my
of the
opinion.
too.
It's
When
true of the
from Jeff,
comics because to me it's like you have different artists and writers writing these characters, and different writers and artists can still do just as good a jobs as the original creators, if not better. Stan Lee was the creator of the X-Men and all those characters, right?
right.
However, the X-Men did not really reach their legendary status and popularity until writers like Chris Claremont started writing the characters.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men were not as popular in the 60s as they would become later times in their history under different writers and creative teams. So my point is this: different creative interpretations can possibly surpass the original. Maybe if not surpass, they can match. That's what I'm saying. Just like Daniel Craig, I feel far surpasses any previous actor as James Bond, even though some would maybe argue that Sean Connery was the best. You see the point I'm making?
I do. I see it, and I just think personally, if they're going to do these characters again, it'd be better to just do the new interpretations. That's just me.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Or even if they bring back Captain America, bring back the Hydra agent Captain America.
I have a feeling. Here's my general feeling. Kevin Feige will retire the older Phase 1 and 2 heroes and focus on the newer heroes: Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, the Guardians a little bit, and Doctor Strange and Ant-Man and the Wasp more so, and the other characters will be like retired, basically.
You're probably right, and of course Black Panther, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, before we move on, favorite part of the Infinity War trailer for you?
I have to say the favorite part for me was just kind of seeing Josh Brolin as Thanos more in action, because really you hadn't seen. Like, I think in the first time you see him, he's just sitting in a chair.
Right.
And I don't think you ever really saw him move much in the previous films.
Not at all, really.
So it was nice to see him actually move in action and see how he looked. And he's very imposing, of course. The character's like, oh man, he's like, you can tell he's like, he's going to screw things up pretty much.
Okay, my favorite part was when T'Challa, the Black Panther, was like, someone get this man a shield.
That was a beautiful part.
That was my favorite part. Okay, so now that you've gotten around to seeing it, what were your thoughts on Olaf's Frozen Adventure, which was the extended short that was paired with Coco on opening weekend?
I actually really enjoyed it. I was like, this is actually pretty good. It didn't really drag on really that long. It kind of did a good job of adding to the story, which was really cool. It had some not bad songs. I can't say they were mind-blowing, but they weren't bad. It was nice to see more of a range of emotion from Olaf in here, which was really nice, and kind of see more of Olaf, because I don't think he ever gotten this much like screen time before. So it was nice to see that, see the characters all come back, and kind of have an actual holiday.
It was like a mini movie. It was like a holiday special, basically.
Yeah. So I liked it. I was like, this is actually pretty good. I mean,
can I read a few headlines to you, Jay? Because this short is receiving so much critical derision that I think is a little harsh. This is Vanity Fair. Yeah. Disney is removing that interminable Frozen short that everyone hates.
Yeah.
Mashable, Disney will remove the awful 20-minute Frozen short from Coco this week. Vulture, Disney is reportedly axing Olaf's Frozen adventure before Coco in movie theater. So a lot of headlines just trashing this short, man. But to continue on from that, the story is that Disney is removing the short in front of the film. So basically it had it for the first 2 weekends. And it seems like they're trying to paint the picture because people hate it, they're taking it out.
Yeah. And it's so weird because like I liked it, the people I was with liked it, so like, everybody liked it. So I don't know where the hate's coming from either. I don't get it. It's weird.
All I thought, it was a little long to have that. It was like almost a half hour.
Mm.
Oh, hold on. These auto ads on entertainmentweekly.com. Because before a Pixar or Disney movie, we're used to like a 5 or 6 minute short, basically. This was like almost a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe the length is a little jarring to some viewers, and it's weird because like Frozen gets all this acclaim, but I have this feeling that some critics just don't like Olaf, really.
Maybe that could be it. Because yeah, they're doing, they did Frozen, they did this, they're doing a sequel, they're doing a Broadway musical. So Frozen's another big moneymaker for them, and most people of all ages do really like it,
Oh
so
no, I mean kids love Olaf, but I think adults do not, is what I'm saying.
maybe, I don't know. Like I said, because I read a lot of those articles too. I was like, wait, what? Like, I don't get why some people are trashing it because I'm like, it wasn't bad at all. I thought it was kind of cool. I was glad to see it. I was excited. I couldn't
Maybe
wait.
it was just I didn't mind it at all. I think maybe it was just too much Olaf for some people. There
Maybe.
was what was the other? Do you remember the other Frozen short from a while back?
Oh yeah, it was Frozen Fever, I think is what they called it.
And that was like another that was much shorter.
Yeah,
That was a more it was a short, cute little thing.
yeah.
I think they would have been better off if this was like a TV special.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think I could agree with that. They
Um,
might have done better.
I liked it. I liked the songs for them.
Hmm.
I liked all the songs, and I enjoyed. My favorite part in that short was when one of those hot rocks hit the squirrel. Like he's waving to
Hmm.
that little squirrel in the tree, and he's being
Hmm.
because he's so clumsy. That rock goes flying from the that sauna. Remember, Oaken gave him that sauna, and it goes flying at the squirrel. Like, oh, cute little squirrel, and the squirrel gets beaten by a
Hmm.
hot coal. I thought that was funny.
I thought
You
it
know,
was really funny where he goes into the sauna and melts, and they throw him out of the bucket, and he just kind of
that
comes
was
to life
funny.
again.
Yeah, I thought that was funny
Yeah,
too.
there was a lot of funny stuff here. I liked it.
Because
Yeah,
like I remember like Elsa put a spell on him to keep him from melting in summer and
yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So apparently melting doesn't actually kill him; it just turns him into water, and he just needs to become. I
Mhm.
thought that was cute too, and I enjoy what's the
And it had
reindeer's name? What's the pet?
Sven.
Sven. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that character.
And I just like the fact that like it kind of ties a bow around stuff. It ties up a few loose ends, a few cool surprises. I mean, I enjoyed it. And you get to see a range of emotions in Olaf in this that you really haven't seen before.
I like it more for the other characters and Olaf, and I think kind of Anna and Elsa discovering their old, that they had this old tradition. I thought they were maybe gonna, maybe build another snowman. Maybe they could have built like a female. Because remember the whole, do you want to build a snowman? Maybe they could have built like a snow woman for
Maybe
Olaf.
that be in the sequel.
Build a snow girl. What would you think of a snow girl for Olaf?
That'll probably happen in the sequel. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened eventually.
Okay.
And they did it for Frosty. Why wouldn't they do it for Olaf? Hey, Olaf, you need a woman.
Okay. So going on to some other entertainment news items. So another new trailer that recently came out was A Wrinkle in Time.
Mhm.
So are you familiar with this book series, Jay? You seem to be very excited. This is from Ava DuVernay, who's a very acclaimed director.
Uh-huh.
She directed a Selma, I mean, which was a really big important film, and now she's doing a big fantasy movie for Disney.
Mhm.
So what did you think of this trailer?
I like it because you get to see kind of more of the story, more of the different, I don't know if it's universes or what it is, but you get to see that. You get to see a bit more of the cast. You get to see, and my only really fear about this movie is it is very star-studded, and
Right,
star-studded doesn't always mean good, but
right.
it's got a good soundtrack. It's got good special effects. It seems like a different story, like one I haven't really seen 100 times. That's always nice. So I overall enjoyed the trailer. I really did.
So like let's go down the list. You have Oprah Winfrey, who was in the trailer. She plays Mrs. Witch.
Uh-huh.
Reese Witherspoon is Mrs. Whatsit.
Mhm.
Chris Pine plays the lead. He's he's the father, I guess, of the main character, right?
Correct.
Zach Galifianakis playing someone called Happy Meeting Him. Chris
Mhm.
Pine plays Alex Murray. Excuse me.
Mhm.
Who is the main girl?
I think
What
she's
is her name?
someone new, kind of like the kid in
Yeah,
Coda. I think she's
yeah,
new.
yeah, yeah. So, so have you ever read the original book by
I'm
Madeline
I'm not
L'Engle?
no.
So you're not familiar with the book because this is based on a very popular, like, classic book,
I'm not.
award-winning book. I don't think the trailer looks all that promising. I mean, it looks really weird,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Maybe that can work to the film's favor. Um,
Maybe.
mm, I got to be. I'm not too excited about this one. Maybe it'll be good.
Mhm.
I'll probably go see it, but I'm just not sure about this film. Jay.
With me, like I want to be excited, and usually,
Okay.
usually Disney knows
Fair
what
enough.
they're doing. Usually is the key word. Usually they do. Not always, but usually.
Okay. Well, did you like? Well, when they did BFG, were you happy with that film?
It actually wasn't bad. I actually enjoyed it
That
more
was
the
based
second than the
on a
first
Roald
time.
Dahl book.
Yeah, yeah. I liked it more the second time than the first time, oddly enough. There were still a few
Okay.
little parts that
Okay.
were silly, but it was
But
a fun.
that movie, like, kind of not a similar story, but like, you had,
Mhm.
if not A-list talent in the movie, you had A-list talent behind it. Steven Spielberg.
Mhm.
Um, uh, and it didn't do very well. Didn't get good reviews. Didn't do good at the box office either. So
Yeah, true. So this could be a film.
I'm kind of getting,
It,
and the reason I make the comparison, I'm kind of getting kind of like BFG vibes from it. That's why I
maybe
made
you're
that.
right. It could
Well,
because
I'm not necessarily right here. I'm just kind of telling you my impression.
well, you may be right with that impression. Is because like I remember when I heard about BFG, I was
Right.
all excited when I saw it. I was like, it was okay. But then I got a review copy. I liked it a bit more on the review copy. But seeing how Spielberg wanted to use sets instead of like as little green screen as he could, kind of gave me more of a respect for the
Right.
film.
Right.
So,
Um, and I didn't think BFG was terrible. I just thought it was kind of, ho hum.
mhm,
It was written by the late Melissa Matheson,
mhm.
she passed away tragically a couple years ago. She was the writer of E.T. So,
I know. Remember that. I remember seeing the special feature of that.
so she was, you know, she was, a great writer, and back in the '80s, collaborated with Spielberg on E.T. That was pretty.
She did. Yeah, they had a long history, and I
Yeah,
think she died before they finished the movie. Sadly, they said.
it's true. The movie got released last year, and I think she passed away in 2015.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
before they.
And look, I'm not saying the movie is going to be terrible. I'm just like,
Mhm,
I don't know. It lacked a lot of It lacked some wow factor to me, but
mhm,
we'll see about that one. All right. So, one of your favorite shows. Some good news for one of your shows, Jay. Stranger Things. It's
mhm.
official. It will be picked up for a third season. This is pretty much a no-brainer, right? Like,
True.
I mean, you have to pretty much expect something like this because the show is, it's a juggernaut right now. So it,
Mhm.
it, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. Wouldn't you agree? Season 3.
Yeah, it was one of those things where because they had announced before this that they were going to do up to 3, 4, 5 seasons anyway.
Yeah.
But it still was nice to have them officially say, "Hey, this is officially happening." So if any naysayers go, "No, no proof yet,"
Right.
there's proof. So I was just glad it was one of those things. Like I'm like, okay, it's good to hear it's officially like set in stone happening. So I like to hear that. But yeah, it wasn't a giant shock to me. Like they're doing another season, no way. Unlike Iron Fist, from like a second season of that. How? But beside the point.
All right. So there aren't a lot of details. All we really know is that they're doing a third season
I think they did
so
say they were
far.
going to do another jump or like a year or something like that. So I think they did say that before they announced this.
So but the show, I think it seems to just keep, like, the first season was like a sleeper hit, but the show just keeps growing in popularity. Do you think that will continue with the third season?
Mhm. I think so, yeah. Especially because what they did sex is they got some people from the 80s, like Sean Austin, big 80s,
Yeah,
star.
the
So it was kind of cool to have him in
Goonies.
the show
Yeah,
in the 80s. And he was one of the shining stars of that season, to be honest. Sean
yeah.
Austin's character was one of the characters that like people just
Aston.
grew to love. Yeah, well, kind of like Barb in season one. He was
Right.
that character where everybody just, like, fell for him hard.
So not only that, the first season got 18 Emmy nominations. The show has won at least 5. So this is looking pretty good.
And
Oh,
I also saw, speaking of Stranger Things, I saw a really cool thing this weekend where they have the first season out on Blu-ray and it's in a VHS type case, so it looks like it's got more 80s nostalgia there, which was awesome.
okay. So here's another little news nugget I wanted to bring up for the show. So Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy writer and Batman vs Superman co-writer, David S. Goyer, he is reportedly in talks to direct Masters of the Universe for Sony Pictures, which currently has a 2019 release date. This film has gone through so many directors and writers at this point. It's almost hard to believe this one is actually going to stick. But I think he's writing a draft of the film right now, and he's now in talks to direct it.
Well,
Previously, so
yeah,
before you comment, so previously, John M. Chu was on this film, the director of Gem and the Holograms and G.I. Joe Retaliation. After that, it was McGee. Even further back, you had John Stevenson, the director of the first Kung Fu Panda. This was years and years back. So yeah, what do you make of this news?
Well, it's hard to know because like they did. So far, they've done one live action movie with Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, right? Way back.
Yeah, and that movie is old at this point. It's over 30 years old. It came out in 1987.
And it didn't do that well when it came out, right?
No, it didn't. That movie kind of came out at the tail end of it kind of came out after the popularity of the whole toy and cartoon had really peaked. Do you remember the old cartoon, the Masters of the Universe cartoon and toy line? So the movie came out in 1987 after the toy line and cartoon had already kind of peaked in popularity, basically. And the movie
I know I
did
had
very
the
well.
toys. I watched the show a little bit, but I don't remember it immensely.
And they did other stuff throughout the years, of course. They did some reboots.
Now, didn't they recently reboot the cartoon again? I thought like 5 years ago.
It was more than that. It was 2002 to 2004. So that's quite a while. That's 15 years ago at this point. That was the most recent thing.
So, because this is a cartoon and a character, unless they do some real good marketing beforehand, maybe they should just let it die for now.
I love the whole mythology. I love the comics. I love the cartoons and the toys. Here's my thing. If you're going to do Masters of the Universe and try to do it, I guess, seriously in 2018 or whatever, 2019, I don't know how you do it seriously for the millennial generation. You know what I mean? Like, older fans might be into it, but like, will the kids of today be into it? I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's kind of like if they were going to do something because they revamped. How long ago did they revamp Thundercats? How long ago did they do that?
Thundercats was like 5-6 years ago, and it didn't do very well.
But it'd almost be like better to do a movie of that because it's been more recent, at least, than doing a live action movie of this that has been 15 years since they did anything at all. It sounds like, unless there's still comics going on, which maybe there is. I don't know.
There are comics, but I mean those are comics, you know. I mean, the amount of people that read the comics is a drop in the bucket compared to what you need for a movie like that to be successful.
Yeah, it just sounds to me because remember a few years ago they wanted to do an animated Popeye movie, and that did fall apart.
Right. It did fall apart, right?
There are times where if they're going to do something, either do it right and take your time, or don't do it at all. And
look, Fox did a new Charlie Brown and Peanuts movie, and that movie was good, and it did very well.
Heard it.
It was a genuinely good movie, I thought. So it's not impossible to do like something like that.
I won't say it's impossible, but it's risky because another film that comes to my mind that had so much process of making it is a Medieval the Awakening, which I just watched recently. They had like
What is it?
It was a Medieval the Awakening.
A Medieval the Awakening.
They tried to
I
do a
haven't heard
sort
of
of
that.
there's a reason you haven't. It got pushed back, like it was supposed to come out in 2014 and got pushed back like 6, 7, 8 times. It had Cameron Monaghan from Gotham. It had Jennifer Morrison from Once Upon a Time, Kurtwood Smith from like RoboCop and like that 70s show. But it got pushed back so many times when they finally released it. They released it in only like 10 theaters. Only made like $700. It's like first weekend. It came out the 28th of this year, finally.
Was this a horror film? What was this?
Yes, it was a horror film. And it just came and went because it had been pushed back and like
Wait, was this a reboot? Or a remake?
It was like almost like a reboot kind of sequel sorts, and it was really bad.
Okay. Well,
so
I mean, that's a horror movie though. I mean, even Halloween, like they're doing something new with Halloween right now, I think, with Danny McBride. You know?
Well, it's also gonna have Jamie Lee Curtis in it, yeah.
But horror movies are cheaper to make, you know? So those are less risky. But
true, but I just like for something like this, it sounds like if it's been through like development hell so many times.
It has been development hell for You're right about that. We're talking
rest for now.
They've been trying to ramp up this movie for the better part of 10 years, maybe even longer. So
it sounds like to me if it's that's why a medieval horror came to my head, The Awakening, because it was in development hell forever too.
Yeah.
And it got pushed back forever. So if there's a movie like that, it's probably gonna end up being not what the fans expect it to be, because that's kind of what happened to Gem and the Holograms. They tried to make a cheap version of it, and they thought the fans wouldn't remember, but there were all these Gem fans that hated it because like this isn't Gem and the Holograms.
Yeah, that movie was awful, wasn't it?
It was. It was really bad. God, was it bad.
Did you even stay for the post-credits scene with the Misfits? Did you stay for that?
Oh yeah, I did. I did stay for that. Yes.
Okay.
But I remember before I did my review, I watched at least 2 episodes of the cartoon. I'm like, yeah, this is not the cartoon.
I wasn't a huge fan of that cartoon, but like I feel bad for the fans of that cartoon who had to. But I mean, David Goyer I think he's a decent writer. But he did direct the worst movie of the Blade trilogy, Blade Trinity.
That one was weird. Even though Dominic Purcell was Dracula in that.
Right. But wouldn't you agree that was the worst one of the trilogy? He wrote all of them, but that was the only one he directed.
Yeah, that one was pretty bad. It was just a lot more messy and messy than the previous two. Because they had so much more going on.
I think he's done good with TV. He worked on the Constantine TV series that I thought was decent. And he did you ever watch Da Vinci's Demons?
No.
That was his star show. That was a good show. That was a really sort of kind of a fantasy take on Leonardo da Vinci, basically. All right. So moving on from that. Okay. So we had the Avengers Infinity War. I think there's been some movement in the not Marvel, but the Disney 20th Century Fox sale. So okay. So here's the latest story from Variety on the whole. This has been an ongoing thing of Disney purchasing parts of the entertainment parts of 20th Century Fox News Corp. Because basically News Corp is trying to, I guess, unpack its entertainment assets and stay strictly news and sports, basically. And one of the potential buyers is Disney. So here we go from Variety. Walt Disney and 21st Century Fox have restarted more serious discussions that could result in the owner of ABC and ESPN picking up pieces of the empire controlled by the Murdoch family. So this is originally from the Wall Street Journal. Comcast also remains interested in pursuing a potential deal. So that means Comcast is also interested in as a potential buyer for 20th Century Fox's entertainment assets. So I'm just trying to pick out the relevant parts of this story. So this would include like FX, Fox TV production. So just for example, if you like Modern Family, Fox TV produces Modern Family. Disney and Comcast are both partial owners, along with Fox, of the video streaming site Hulu. A purchase would likely give one of their partners more say in the site's direction at a time when Netflix, Amazon, and other purveyors of subscription video on demand are making greater strides in the marketplace. So here's what this article doesn't mention, and this is probably the big reason comic book fans are really waiting with bated breath over this news. Currently, 20th Century Fox still controls the film rights to the X-Men family of characters. That includes like mutants and the Fantastic Four family of characters. They don't own the characters, Jay. They control their live-action film and distribution rights. So fans want to see this deal happen. So Marvel and Disney will get the film rights back to the X-Men and Fantastic Four, basically. So Fox is still making X-Men movies. I mean, we have
Supernova.
Yeah, we have that movie, and then we have New Mutants, Deadpool 2, I mean, we've got trailers for New Mutants and Deadpool 2 already. So those movies are going to be coming out soon. And they're filming, I think, X-Men Supernova right now, right?
I think so. But I thought New Mutants was already on Hulu. Am I wrong?
No. New Mutants is a movie. It's not. No, you're thinking of you're thinking of Runaways, is what you're thinking of.
Okay.
Runaways. That's the other. That's a Marvel series. It's not X-Men. Okay. And we also have The Gifted. In terms of TV, you have Legion on FX, and you have Gifted on Fox.
Right.
All right. So, I guess, what would you think if this deal happens and they stop making the X-Men movies in their current form? Would you be okay with that?
I would be, because with the exclusion of like Logan, Apocalypse was a mess, and I'm not excited for Supernova, not even a little bit. I'm really not. So I'm like,
you know why? Because Simon Kinberg's directing it.
Well, that's not my reasoning. My reasoning.
He wrote Apocalypse.
Oh, geez, and yeah, I'm not excited, but it just seems like X-Men has hit a point where they hit a good stride in First Class, and like Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
But they lost all of that freaking steam in Apocalypse. It was probably one of the most messy X-Men movies I've ever seen. Probably one of the most messy, terrible ones I've ever seen. And it's really hit a point where someone needs to just go, hey, you know what? Let's just do something different or something, you know, or revamp it or something.
Well, you have the Deadpool movies.
I thought Deadpool was Marvel.
No, Deadpool is Fox. The characters are Marvel characters, but they're produced by Fox.
And that'd be another thing too. Would that be why there weren't that many X-Men in the Deadpool one? Is that why?
No, because I think it was just kind of Deadpool's story, and they didn't have that big a budget, so they couldn't put like a ton of characters in it.
Remember, he said the joke. He was like, "It looks like there's only like Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and that's all they could afford."
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah. So maybe if they did, because we know we're going to get Cable.
Well, I think it's a good time, and here's why. Logan, like, that was Hugh Jackman's like last hurrah. That was like that was the last hurrah for that character. So here's why I think that it ties back into our front discussion about it, Infinity War. If you're going to be retiring all those old Marvel characters, if this deal goes through, and it's far from official, but if it does go through, then Marvel would have the film rights back to Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer, Galactus, Doctor Doom, and the X-Men and Wolverine and Deadpool. So that means they have all those characters they can use in future MCU films.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've ever done one good Fantastic Four movie, have they?
Fox has made 3, and
I know they have.
People have not liked them very much.
Yeah, the first one looked okay. Silver Surfer looked a mess, and then the newest one looked even like more of a mess.
Yeah. So wouldn't you, hypothetically, I'm not saying there aren't problematic elements of this deal, but wouldn't you want to see Marvel making films of those characters? at some point.
I would like to, yes.
And I think if you had the X-Men, even like you could do a whole bunch of new films and you know crossover possibilities with those characters, even though you wouldn't really have Captain America, maybe Thor, Iron Man, or those actors, the original actors playing those characters. You'd have, okay, now we can have like Wolverine, and Wolverine can meet Spider-Man. The catch is you'd probably have to cast new actors for a lot of these characters.
Probably.
But that would probably be a good thing, because if you could have a really good version of Doctor Doom, like a comics faithful version of Doctor Doom, he could be an enemy for like the whole Marvel universe, the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, and not just the Fantastic Four. You could have like the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe coming together to fight Galactus, for example. And you could finally get a Silver Surfer movie. Fans have been denied a Silver Surfer movie for many years. He's a classic character.
They had a cartoon show, but I don't remember if that was that good either, was it?
That was back in the 90s. I thought the cartoon Thanos was in that cartoon too, by the way. Yeah. But you could do a bunch of stuff with those characters, but only if they got the rights back. So it's just kind of, it's not in a final state. And even if this deal got done, it would probably still take some time to get film deals together and what have you.
I still personally want Sony to get it. I think Sony would probably.
What?
Wasn't Sony one of the ones who was in talks to get these rights?
I mean, they might be, but why would that be good?
Because they don't have all these TV stations already.
I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs in the deal. I think if the film rights to the Marvel, I read somewhere, I don't know if this is true, that Marvel would have to approve, or Disney Marvel would have to approve of any sale of their character rights changing hands, or the film rights. So
but wasn't there still the danger that they're doing a monopoly if they got all this stuff?
I mean, look, they already own the characters. Mm-hmm. Technically, yes, but I mean, the SEC let Disney buy Lucasfilm, and they let them buy Marvel Entertainment. So in terms of the film rights for the characters, they already own the intellectual property. All they don't control is the film rights to make the films. That's all they don't have right now. But so basically, I would want to see Marvel, the MCU versions of the X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
The only troubling thing is Deadpool. But here's my idea for Deadpool. You keep making Deadpool movies with the same people and Ryan Reynolds. You just call it like the Marvel Knights imprint. Like this is the adult live action movie imprint. You see what I'm getting at? Like and just say it operates independently of the MCU, and then you can have Deadpool make jokes. Oh, we're owned by Disney now, so I have to say these things. You can do so much fun stuff with that. Don't you agree?
He's already kind of done. He did this something like this for like one of the deal things.
Yeah. So you could have a lot. I think if this deal were to hypothetically happen, I would say keep making the Deadpool movies, and just because when you look at the Deadpool movies, Jay, they don't really pay much attention to the previous X-Men films,
True.
Like the X-Men are in it, their characters in it, but it's not really like the past film versions of the X-Men, like that Colossus we never saw Colossus like that in any of the other movies. We never saw Negasonic Teenage Warhead, so why does it even matter? That's kind of my point here. It's not like we see Wolverine in the movies and you had to make a new movie like, oh, why is Wolverine a different guy? You wouldn't have to worry about that at all. All right, so I think that about does it for today. Any last minute things you want to get in?
Yeah, one thing I do want to talk about it was that big arc they did recently with the Crisis on Earth X. Did you get a chance to watch that?
On CW.
Yeah,
Yeah, what did you think?
I thought it was actually definitely darker. It was definitely interesting because it's the whole Nazi world, and CW is doing that too on a show called Ray and the Freedom Fighters. So this isn't the first time we see Crisis on Earth X, but it's the first time we see it in a live action medium.
Right.
And it was weird though because it was in a different format. I thought it'd be like they did like first they did The
Freedom
Flash,
Fighters is a CW. That's one of the animated shows on CW Seed.
but it also takes place on the Earth
Right.
X. Is what I mean. And they started with this being Supergirl. Then I think it was Arrow. Then I think it was The Flash. Then I think it was Legend of Tomorrow ended it. And
Was it better than the last time they did it?
yeah, actually, it was really dark.
Okay.
It was interesting to see like a darker version of Supergirl and a darker version of Oliver Queen, who's the Fuhrer for some reason. That was kind of weird.
Okay.
And we have Eobard Thawne comes back. He looks like Wells again, but he comes back. Another version of him.
So now he's
We
Harrison
get
Wells.
and we get well. He made himself look like Harrison Wells again because he wanted to screw with Barry.
Right.
And we see Ray, which is really cool, which you'd never seen him before. We see Snart again, which is really cool, and he's a different Snart. He's actually a good Snart, which is really cool. And then Snart comes back and decides to stay on Earth One again. So we're going to see more of Snart, Captain Cold again.
How did they
really
get? How did they? Where did this snark come from?
He was from Earth X, and
Okay.
there he was a good guy because he was like, hey, we don't like this Nazi regime taking over the world, and we're part of the resistance, and we want to try to stop it. Right? That's what happened.
How much of a good like was he still kind of like a sarcastic know-it-all?
He was sarcastic, and they also showed him in this one. He was with Ray, so we actually got to see kind of like a side of Snart that we hadn't seen
Okay.
before. So that was kind of cool too.
Okay. So here's and just the last thing
And
you
a lot.
wanted to bring this up. What?
Well, before I do this, the biggest thing about this arc, and it was
Okay.
something that happened in this season. They talked about where Vincent Garber didn't want to be in the show anymore. Right? He's done. He doesn't want to be on it anymore. And
Why?
how they because he just didn't want to be on the show anymore. I think he was like done playing his character, and he just didn't want to do it anymore. So how they ended it with him dying was just like it would kind of like tug to the strings, but he's like, damn, it was just so. It was an interesting way to end his character, and it was kind of like unexpected, and it was just like, man, because the whole season you had seen something totally different happening, so
So
at
he
least I didn't coming.
so who's going to be the new so for Firestorm, who's going to be the new partner for Firestorm then?
There isn't one right now. All we know is Jack's just
Doesn't
not
he need doesn't he need like someone to help him transform or he'll like blow up?
anymore. We gave him something where he doesn't need it anymore, but he's not a hero anymore, so it's kind of weird. That was
Oh,
an
okay.
interesting for the whole arc for the whole all the shows too.
All right.
And it was an
Eh.
amazing arc. It was really touching, but it was just like it was kind of one of the darker arcs they've done, and it was better than the last one. That was for sure.
So, and you wanted to bring up A Christmas Story Live. So
Yes.
basically, there's going to be a live rendition of A Christmas Story on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to have
December
Ken
7th.
Jeong from the Hangover series, David Alan
Mm-hmm.
Grier,
Mm-hmm.
Jane Krakowski, Chris Diamantopoulos.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the classic 1983 film, Ralphie Parker.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a musical, a live musical.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Matthew Broderick's going to be narrating, which is kind of
3 hour.
interesting.
The telecast will be 3 hours. It will be produced by Grease Live's Mark Platt and Adam
Mm-hmm.
Siegel, and it's going to air on Sunday, December 17th. Why are you excited about this, Jay?
I'm not saying I'm excited about it. I just wanted to talk about it
Why?
because
You're excited, I can
because it's
tell.
no, I'm not. I'm
Yes, you
actually
are.
not. Because, no, I'm not. What I am is I'm
Where do you rank?
curious.
Where do you rank A Christmas Story among Christmas films for you?
It's one of the better classics. The
Okay.
1983 one is one of the better Christmas movies. I
Okay.
agree.
Okay.
But why I wanted to talk about this is because it's one of those things where, like, for me, I'm like, it doesn't sound bad, but you need to do this. No, you really don't. And David On Greer is going to be the mall Santa. They just announced that recently, so
Okay.
that's kind of weird. And even though it's Matthew Broderick, I like Matthew Broderick. Matthew Broderick narrating, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. So I wanted to talk about this because this is
It
one of
looks
those.
like Maya Rudolph's in it.
Yes, she's the mom, I think.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a bad cast, but like, first of all, the live things have been hit or miss. I've heard there's been good, I've heard there's been bad. That's just what I've heard. And they already did a sequel to this like a few years ago with Daniel Stern as the dad, and it looked kind of eh. So yeah, like I want to talk about this because I'm like this every year I notice there's holiday specials they should do and holiday specials they shouldn't do. And I fear this is going to fall in the we shouldn't do this category, but they're doing it anyway. That's what I fear is going to happen with this.
I'm kind of weirded out by turning it into a musical, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe that's just me.
well, there is a musical of it out, so maybe that's what they're doing it on. But it
Okay.
is a little weird.
Is there a Broadway musical version?
I think there is. I think I did see there
Okay.
was. Yes.
See, I'm really behind on my Broadway shows because I wasn't even okay.
Nor was I. I saw it on
Okay.
YouTube.
So it's
And I'm like,
based on the
okay.
Broadway production. So all
Yeah,
right. So they're doing like it was a Broadway show. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it'll be okay then. Maybe I'm just being.
I don't
I
know.
mean, because they did that modern update, that kind of modern TV update of Rocky Horror, a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Remember
Which
when they
was
did that?
okay, but it wasn't as good as it was expected to be, and it wasn't live either. That
It
wasn't
wasn't
live.
live, but they did a TV musical, like an update. Did you
Yeah.
see? Did you see?
So
I didn't watch it, but did you see any of that one?
I did, and it was okay, but not as good as it was
And
expected.
I think another network did Peter Pan live with Christopher Walken as
And they
Captain
also
Hook.
did the same network did Hairspray, which I didn't see, but I heard it was really good actually. So they've done hit or miss.
And the I'll tell you what I've seen of the Peter Pan live presentation for network TV was a bit of a train wreck. Okay,
Mm.
so to take us out here, you got a nice little holiday gift from
I
DreamWorks
did.
Animation.
All
Why
nice
don't
and
you
pretty.
share with everyone this little?
So
It's an
basically, what
advent
this is,
calendar. It's an advent
yeah,
calendar of chocolates.
DreamWorks, and I didn't expect to get it. I got it. It's got one for every day up to the 24th. They're really good so far. I've had the first 3 days. They've been amazing. And the funny thing is, most of these shows I haven't even really watched actually, but they have like Voltron on here. They have How to Train Your Dragon. They have The Croods. They have King Julian, Spirit, Trolls, Home Adventures of Tip and O, frickin' Dino Trucks. They've got Troll Hunters. They've got
Voltron.
Boots. They've got all that stuff on here. So it's got all
Yeah,
the DreamWorks shows on Netflix, like
yeah.
are all on here. Pretty
Uh,
amazing.
can you show us the back? Because there's like a variety of chocolates that are in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's all these different chocolates on there, all these different varieties and flavors and all this stuff. So it's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
those are so cool. These are like serious chocolates, aren't they, Jay? They're like really like top. These are like top of the line, like like art. These are like artisan chocolates, basically. Would you not agree?
Yep, I do agree. They are
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay,
One
great.
more thing I did want to talk about real quick too before we go
Yeah,
out
I have
is,
one
and
more thing as well. Go ahead.
this was news that was announced just recently. It's kind of interesting. I haven't really watched Riverdale much, but I've heard good things about it. They announced recently Netflix is going to do some new Sabrina the Teenage Witch show,
All right.
2 season order at
Yeah. Go
Netflix.
ahead.
And they're saying it's going to be actually it's not going to be the Melissa John Hart one. It's going to be supposedly a lot darker. It's going to
Okay.
be more drama, more like gore, violent. Like so, it sounds like it's going to be very different. And what I've read, I'm actually kind of intrigued. I'm like, I might like to see a different Sabrina because
It's going
it
to
would
be
definitely.
on it's going to be on the CW, produced by Warner Brothers TV.
Mhm,
This is from Variety. It's the same team that produced Riverdale. So
mhm,
just kind of like Riverdale is a darker version of like the Archie characters and Betty and Veronica. I think it's gonna be kind of like that. Kind of like a
mhm,
darker, more serious version.
mhm,
Uh Lee Toland Krieger will direct and executive produce. Greg Berlanti, Sarah Schechter, and John Goldwater, all executive producers on this new
mhm.
show. Um, It's going to be based on the Archie Comics Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So
Mhm.
the past series was an ABC sitcom. Was the older
Yes,
TV
it
series
was. More
with
family oriented, more silly.
right.
Yeah.
It was a multi-camera sitcom with like a live audience, and
Mhm.
it was Melissa Joan Hart from Clarissa Explains It All as Sabrina back in
And
the
it
back in the
actually had a good
90s.
run. It had like 8 or 9 seasons. It
It was
ran
on for a
pretty
while.
good. And they actually had it just recently at Stanley's LA Comic Con, which I missed the panel. They all came back together just like
Interesting.
forever.
So the
So
ABC TV series ran from 1996 to 2003 and
yeah.
had 163 episodes, and there were 3 TV films as well. So the old show did pretty well for its time, I guess.
Mhm.
So, but that was a sitcom, and this is going to be more of a drama, I would say, right?
And like I said, people really like Riverdale so far, so it may be nice to kind of see a different side of her because
Oh,
sometimes lately with some of these shows, they do like new versions, bit darker versions, they work. So like we could remember we went from 60s Batman to 1990s darker cartoon Batman.
yeah.
And it was nice to kind of get a change in the right direction. So it might be good to see it.
Do you like Riverdale?
I haven't had a chance to watch it, to be honest, but I've heard good
Okay.
things about it.
Okay. So,
If you like it, have you watched it?
uh, let me say this. I don't like the show, but I don't begrudge people that do. It's not
Okay.
it's not a show I like I watched the first couple episodes. It wasn't for me. Stop
Okay.
watching it. I did the same thing with Gotham.
Yeah.
Um I watched it like the first 6 episodes. I was like, I'm not going to stick with the show, and
Yeah.
I tuned out. So, and look, Gotham has been on Gotham's a success. It's been on a while, but it's just not a show I really like. You know what I mean?
I'm the opposite. I love
All right.
Gotham.
So just one last thing. So I have been invited to the December 11th screening of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So I will be seeing it early. We'll be doing, I think, a full Star Wars episode. Maybe not next week, but like the following week. We'll do like a nice, I think, in-depth discussion on Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So rejoice, everyone! It is Star Wars month. We got a new Star Wars movie coming out. What do you got, Jay? Yeah.
One more thing too is also they announced today, next Thursday, they are going to reveal the first trailer for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. So we should be
Yeah,
talking
they
about
had a
that.
teaser. They had a teaser for that trailer. It just came out. So there's
Yep.
a short little clip of it you can see of like Chris Pratt and who's the other character? There's a clip online from the sequel to Jurassic World with Chris Pratt and who else? Bryce Dallas Howard and another character in the film kind of running away from some dinosaurs. So you can watch that right now. All right, so I'm Jeffrey Harris of 411mania.com. You can check out my reviews and interviews over there, 411mania.com. Jay, where can people find you online?
Goodmenproject.com. You can find me. Also, you can find me again on Deviate Publishing. I did a few promo pieces and reviews for the new DuckTales episode, which is kind of Christmassy, sort of. The Lion Guard Christmas episode that airs next Saturday, which I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit next week too, and a few things like that. So I'm doing a few little promo pieces and stuff like that on there.
Everyone, happy holidays. I hope you all have a safe and wonderful holiday season. Same goes to you, Jay. And we will be back to deliver you some more in entertainment news and discussion. And of course, Star Wars very soon. So, everyone, happy holidays and may the force be with you. Thank you.